Wrong button. Welcome elected members, staff, guests, members of the public to the Ordinary Council meeting of 13 December 2025. Open the meeting at 5:30. The City of Busselton acknowledges the Wardandi and the Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of this region. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present. This meeting is being audio recorded for minute-taking purposes, and it is also being live streamed on the City of Busselton YouTube channel. The prayer this evening will be read by Pastor Andy Pitt from the William Carey Court. Great to see you again, Andy. See you tomorrow as well.
Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be able to lead prayer for you this evening. I'm a chaplain at Baptist Care, and what a privilege it is to just walk among the elderly of our community. They are amazing people with amazing stories, and it's just such a privilege to work with them. So, yeah, I'd love to just pray for you as we start. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the incredible gift of life, the opportunity to live it purposefully and productively in the service of others and of our city. I pray for each of these members of the City Council. I pray for their well-being to weather the many demands they face. I pray for their families who stand behind them. Be gracious and good to them all, I pray, Lord. We pray that you would protect, hold, and support them in their office. Pray that their families would be secure and stable and happy. Be with those who work in our shire, whatever this office, however menial or high profile their work. May these shire officers maintain a great culture, high morale, and good integrity. Behind this office is a community and city with all of its own shuffles and movements and challenges. Remember us as a city, we pray, Lord. We pray for our businesses. We thank you for them and we pray you'd bless them. We thank you. We pray for our essential services, the police and the hospitals, the schools, disability, youth work and aged care. Lord, we commit them all to you and the challenges that they face. We pray for our local sporting and social groups and our churches, that they'd all offer grace and build meaningful, healthy community all over our city. We pray for the marginalized, the homeless, the unemployed, the needy of our city, especially this winter evening, that they'd find shelter, food, support, help, and love in their own desperate plight. Be in this meeting today as these people before me navigate, lead, and make decisions that affect all of our community. We'll lift their arms up before you in prayer this evening. Bless them, Lord, we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. And just a reminder for people to make sure their phones are switched off. Just moving on to, we have no apologies and no approved leave of absence. So just a couple of announcements I'd like to make. Firstly, I want to offer my condolences to the families of former councillors Kevin Cross and Arnold Boggers, who recently passed. Kevin Cross served on council from 1986 to 1987, and Arnold Boggers served on council from 1998 to 2005. So we thank their family for their service that they gave to this shire then, I would have said, and now a city. So, and also, just to let you know, we've had a resignation from Councillor Richard Beecroft, which was received last week, and he has resigned immediately, and he will be carrying on his other work, what he does. So yes. Also, I'd want to say disclosure of interest. We've got on item 4, we've got Councillor McNish, Councillor Ryan and Director Palmer on item 12.1 for the scheme amendment number 61, short-term rental accommodations. These disclosures will be read out immediately prior to the item being debated. Now we move on to responses to previous questions notice, which are now on the screen. Or will be. Okay. Is that all of them? Yep, thank you. So, question time for the public. In accordance to the City's meeting information sessions and decision-making process, the Council policy public question time will be limited to 15 minutes and a maximum of 30. Please request that members of the public ask questions. They limit the amount of preamble to their questions, or otherwise I will just ask you to put the question. We've received 3 requests for questions. Firstly, we've got Trevor Avery, if you could come forward. Thank you, Trevor. The light's on. Oh, no.
It's working?
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, just a little bit of preamble. I'll try to make it a bit shorter than I got. Basically, I live approximately 2.5 kilometres from Dorrell's Yallop mine site and 1 kilometre from the proposed northern extension boundary. Since Dorrell started mining out Yallop operations in mid-2022, I've had numerous meetings with them. In June 23, I drafted a letter signed by 30 community members concerning loss of our amenities from noise and dust. October 23, I rejected a compensation deed from Dorrell for approximately $27 a day, requiring me to sign away my rights to complain to anyone but Dorrell about any mining activities, whether it be legal or not. And they also would have, this deed would also took some ability away from me to sell my property without Dorrell's approvals or meeting their requirements. So for $27 a day, it wasn't worth it. In late April, early May 24, I met with Dorrell's OHSE superintendent and mine site manager.
Trevor.
Yep.
I will push you, but look, and I say this before.
I'm just about there. There.
But if you do want to come and speak to council, come along to the CAS session and you can have your full 5 minutes just talking to us. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
I'm just about there.
Cheers.
They asked me about Princeville Road. So back in 2024, they asked me about Princeville Road and whether I support it, and I say no. They never mentioned 13 years. And in early May, I drafted a letter to the City of Busselton CEO outlining the above meeting and filling of many local communities. And I submitted this via the Senate inquiry, and I never received a reply. Anyway, so that's a bit of background on my dealings with Dorrell since they've come out. They haven't been the best people. Question 1, does the City of Busselton have a legal obligation to even have to consider a 13-year temporary road closure at the request of a Japanese-owned mineral sands mining company? If not, then why have they supported it so far?
Also to the CEO.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mr. Avery. No, we don't have we're not legally obligated to approve or support the request, but the city has a responsibility to follow due process when an application is submitted to it. So in this case, the city has accepted and advertised the proposal for public comment to assess whether there are valid objections from the community, relevant agencies or stakeholders. This procedural step does not imply endorsement or support from the city. The city is currently evaluating the application based on the feedback received and relevant planning considerations.
So you could have rejected it straight outright and saved the community a lot of work?
No. As I was saying, the due process would mean that we'd have to go through that process and present that to council.
Well, I thought you said that you didn't have to accept it because you had no legal right.
No.
Or no legal obligation, I should say.
Sorry.
So if you had no legal obligation, then you could have...
Is that 3 questions, Mr. Avery?
No, it's not. That's just one question.
Okay.
Just kind of trying to clarify your answer. It appears that Dorrell are not leasing Princeville Road and or the reserve from the City of Busselton or the state government. So while Dorrell gets many financial benefits from its closure, what benefits does the City of Busselton, ratepayers and my local community receive if the 13-year temporary road closure is approved?
So thanks again. So before any decision is made, the city must first determine whether it is prepared to consider the proposed temporary closure. If the city is open to progressing the application, negotiations would then be required with the proponent to identify and secure appropriate benefits for the city, its ratepayers and the local community. These benefits would need to be reasonable, transparent and aligned with the community interest.
So there is no benefit at this stage being outlined to the City of Busselton from Dorrell?
because the council has not decided whether they would close it or not.
So no doubt there'd be benefits, they'd have to put some benefits forward to the council, I'd say, before they vote on it.
Yeah, that sounded like in the answer, should it go that far, then those proposals would come out, which council would review as well.
I'm highly surprised that benefits haven't been raised
Thank
already.
you. Thank you.
Right, question 3. The use of Princeville Road varies with the seasons, winter being the lowest use. So did the City of Busselton request 4 road counter tapes to be installed on Princeville Road in July and August, still there now currently, been replaced I believe. If so, why? And does it really matter how many vehicles use our community's only internal sealed road to justify a 13-year temporary road closure? Or is this just an arbitrary number someone thinks that sounds about correct? Is there a number that, if it is a number, then I'm sure that many roads in the City of Busselton could be closed. So the question is really, did you put request for the road tapes to be installed, and is there a number that will help justify its closure?
Yeah, happy to answer. Thank you. So yes, we did request the traffic data. So a community submission that we received raised concerns that the original traffic counts may have been affected by the roadworks on Busselton Highway. So because of that, that potentially resulted in lower than usual traffic volumes on Princeville Road. So to ensure that we've got accurate and current data, the applicant, so essentially Dorrell, was asked to provide new traffic counts following the opening of Busselton Highway. No, there's no specific number that allows for us to say yes, it's closed or no, it's not.
So it's really a waste of time having a count as if there's no number.
No, you need to have accurate data to make decisions, Mr. Avery.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a number that someone's going to pick to, well...
Thank you, Mr.
Why have a number if you're not going to use it?
Well,
Because decisions are made on a multiple of factors, not just one.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I think you've had about 10 questions. Thanks, Mr.
No, I
Avery,
haven't.
so
I've really only
You've done pretty well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Keith Sims.
Keith Sims, Busselton. So the first question is about the Sabina River and vast wetlands. Excuse me. Dorrell Mining has a ministerial approval to pump contaminated wastewater to the Sabina River and vast estuary and wetlands, and has been doing this for years. The City of Busselton and Geocache have spent millions of dollars in government grants and ratepayers' money repairing the vast river and other waterways. It should be alarmed by what Dorrell is doing. They have an application for a 13-year period for a northern extension, including closing Princeville Road and extra dump points at the Abba River, into the Abba River. It should be noted that Tronex, the other nearby miner, contains their water on site, even though they have approval to pump it away as well. I have publicly on many occasions commended the city for taking the initiative to be the lead agency with the Bass River. So the question, even though the COB has no control over the morally irresponsible action by Dorrell, what action will the city take to assist in this process being stopped or modified, especially with all the money that has been spent on improving the wetlands and water system?
Thank you, Mr. Singer.
Thanks, Mr. Sims, for the question. Yeah, you're right. We don't have control over discharge of water from the mine site into a waterway, unfortunately. Mining companies are governed by the conditions in the Environmental Protection Act 1996. 1986. So discharges from mine sites are regulated under this particular act and not a local government controlled act. If the discharge volume exceeds 50,000 tonnes annually, prior approval is required from DWER, or Department of Water and Environmental Regulation. Those regulations specify thresholds and conditions for mine water discharge, even for smaller volumes. Consultation with DWER or the Department of Mines, Industry and Regulation is recommended. And so as of July, the legislation has been updated, requiring compliance to the water in mining guideline. That has now been revised to align with the EPA Act 2024. So if the community is concerned, certainly are encouraged to report any instances of pollution or what they feel might be out of the ordinary to Environment Watch on the DWA's website. That's one way to look at it, and we're happy to look into that a bit further. Yeah, but it's not an area that we have any jurisdictional control over, Mr. Sims.
I understand you don't, and that's why I said what action could you take, because you spend so much money, along with Geocache, in trying to improve our waterways, and it's not the volume of water that gets pumped into the system, it's what's in the water that's the problem.
Certainly encourage you to contact Environment Watch if
Already
you've got
have.
concerns. Yeah.
And DWAD last year, this happened last year as well, and DWAD basically said the same as you, they've got government approval, so we can't do anything about it. Personally, I still don't think that's good enough. So, question 2, saltwater. The saltwater business plan not having been advertised originally, the community lost forever the chance to ensure this hugely expensive luxury with its ongoing financial impost never got built in the current form. Sorry, I just lost my track. Why was legal advice initially sought for the need to advertise saltwater under 3.59 of the Local Government Act that is quite clear in its direction? Subsequent legal advice was proven that the advertising was required and hence the city has carried that out.
Thanks, Mr. Sims. So in December 2020, the city obtained external legal advice regarding the applicability of Section 3.59 of the Local Government Act to the saltwater project. That advice did conclude that formal advertising was not required. However, subsequent legal advice in 2024 presented a differing interpretation, so different interpretations of two different pieces of advice. In response and to uphold obviously good governance, the city proceeded to advertise the business plan.
But thank you, but I've already said that basically. So my question is, why did the council seek legal advice whether they have to advertise it or not when the Act clearly says you do? So why go and look for legal advice?
Yeah, okay, so at the time, the city had legal advice to say that it wasn't required. So if you're looking at it, if doesn't so from a risk perspective, if you have legal advice to say that it's not required, it didn't happen. When we had corresponding legal advice to say that that was not the case, so a different opinion to somebody else, we took the prudent option to say that we would advertise it, which we have done.
And I understand again, but my question is, why did you, and which hasn't been asked, why did you seek legal advice when the Act is quite clear? You
Why
said
did
you
we
have,
seek legal sorry,
you
we
said-
would take, I think, no, the CEO's answered the question, you're just not understanding it. So we'll
No,
take that
that's
offline
not-
if you wish to do so.
the question is very clear. Why did you look for legal advice when the Act says that you have to do it? So the question is, why did you go to see a lawyer to see if you have to or not? That's the question.
The answer, Mr. Sims, is that there was a notice of motion from memory and a decision of council to say, please seek further legal advice, which we did, and the opinion was different to the original advice that we had. So that's the reason there was a decision by council.
By council?
By council.
By the council, yes.
Okay. Could you refer me to that at a later point?
Yep.
Thank you.
Happy to.
Third question, saltwater. The saltwater will lose about 1.8 million in its first year of operation, plus maintenance costs totalling approximately 2 million, but not including any depreciation costs. The city has a 6% rate increase for the next year, and as a percentage of the 67 million total rates received by the COB, and I only know that from last year, not from the current financial year, this $2 million figure equates to 3% of the rates income to cover that cost. Question, so why are you saying that the rates applicable to saltwater is 0.5%?
Let's see.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we're talking about different calculation here, Mr Sims, so just bear with me as we walk through this one, but thanks for sending the question in early, it certainly helps. So the previous question that we responded to was how much of the 7% advertised rate increase, because it was the 7% we were talking about then, is attributed to salt water. The 0.58%, that was based on the additional net direct costs of the 25-26 budget, so the increase from the 25-26 budget of $389,000. As a portion of the rate increase, not the total rates amount.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is because of all of the costs from the previous budget are funded from the rate base already, and that only the new costs in 25-26 are funded by the rate increase. So as a percentage of the total rates raised, so not just the 6% increase in value, which was the adopted increase, the 6%, the total net direct cost of saltwater is 2.7% of rates.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm happy to give that in writing too, Mr Sims, if that assists.
Well, it's recorded, so that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
So 2.7%
2.7%
of the rates
of rates
is actually contributed to the saltwater
correct. Yeah.
operating loss, basically. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 1 minute left, so Mr Andrew Dickey, I'll allow you to ask your question.
Andrew Dickey from Busselton. My questions are fairly short. First question, at the last council meeting, I asked a question, which was, how much money in total has been paid to the saltwater architects, including for the hundreds of construction contract variations and design? The answer was $1.75 million has been paid to Kerry Hill Architects. I have subsequently become aware that an email sent by a City of Busselton director to a community member in March this year stated, the payments to Kerry Hill Architect total $3,489,714.81. Question, which of those two different amounts is correct?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr Dickey. I'd like to open the response to the question with an apology from last week with the incorrect figure that was given. So the 1.75 we referred to was actually the excluded cost to some activity codes that were finalised in prior years. So the correct figure is currently $3,723,061.
Can you just repeat that? Sorry,
723
723
061.
061. Thank you very much.
No problem. So the 3.7 million figure also includes everything paid to Kerry Hill in relation to the Performing Arts Centre going back to the concept designs.
Yes.
And submissions prior to the council's decision to proceed with the construction and the award of the tender in late 2021. So the costs since that decision to proceed are 2.25 million. That's that.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what was after the total overall figure.
Apologies for the one last meeting.
That's fine. Question 2. How much money in total has been paid in legal fees to lawyers for the saltwater project?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So to date, the total legal cost to date incurred in order to safeguard the City of Busselton's position is $1,549,844.
Thank you very much. Third question. What is the current total cost of saltwater, including construction costs, architect fees, legal fees, loan principal repayments, and loan interest payments?
Thank you again for the question. We've been crunching some numbers for you today.
I can imagine.
To date, 41.1 million has been spent against the capital construction project value of 51.5 million. Legal costs, as stated above, are the 1.5-ish million. Loan repayments, including interest, total to date 6.9, and total of all that being 49.5 million.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you. I'm actually going to return to item 2, and I do apologise, which was the attendance. So in attendance this evening, we have Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Craig, Councillor McNeish, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox, Councillor Kennedy, and myself, Mayor Phil Cronin. I do apologise for that. We now have a deputation from David Schneider from the Town Team Movement. Oh, sorry, a presentation with parties with an interest. I do apologise. We've got Tegan Wild. Tegan, you have 5 minutes to present, and you're talking on item 12.1, the scheme amendment number 61, short-term rental accommodation.
I'm actually presenting on behalf of someone who couldn't make it to the meeting today, so I'm just going to read out what their submission is that they'd like me to read. To the Mayor and Councillors and Planning Team of the City of Busselton, I write this written submission in lieu of attending the Ordinary Council meeting on the 13th of August regarding Amendment number 61 to Local Planning Scheme number 21, as I am interstate and unable to attend either in person or at an earlier community access session. I am not available on Wednesday the 6th of August either, so please accept this email and letters documents attached. This statement relates to submission number 125 and the schedule of submissions associated with Local Planning Scheme Amendment number 61, as outlined in the attachments to the agenda, Ordinary Council meeting 13th of August 2025, pages 174 to 175. I believe this submission corresponds to a property located in West Busselton, which I hold a legal and financial interest through a company of which I am a co-director. I wish to reaffirm my strong opposition to the proposed prohibition of unhosted short-term rental accommodation at this location. This property is currently the subject of active DA for Austro use, for which the City has accepted payment and commenced assessment. This application was lodged in good faith in accordance with the City's formal regulatory process. In light of this and the substantial investment made in the Busselton region, I strongly urge Council to consider exclusions or transitional protections for properties with DAs currently under assessment. To impose a retrospective prohibition under these circumstances would undermine public confidence in the statutory planning framework and raise serious concerns regarding procedural fairness. Furthermore, I have not received any direct communication from the City regarding the summary of submissions or the upcoming Council meeting. It was only through independent effort that I located these materials, which required manually reviewing hundreds of pages of attachments, identifying my likely submission among redacted entries, and interpreting a vague generic officer comment. It is disappointing that submitters must go to such lengths to remain informed on matters of significant personal and financial consequences. In reviewing the Council documentation, I respectfully draw your attention to two key sources. One, the agenda, Ordinary Council meeting 13th August 2025, item 12.1, amendment number 61, short-term rental accommodation, pages 8 to 11 of this 11-page document contain a table summarising the general themes raised in community submissions and the City's responses. While the table is appreciated, I am concerned that it omits or dilutes several key themes that recur throughout the actual submissions. Point 2, the attachments to the same meeting, specifically attachment 12.1.2, which contains officer comments on submissions, page 55, and the full schedule of submissions beginning on page 81. These submissions reflect a more accurate, detailed and balanced representation of the community's concerns raised by residents across Busselton, Dunsborough, Geograph and surrounding areas. Recurring themes in those submissions which appear to be underrepresented in the summary include economic tourism impacts on local businesses and jobs, lack of direct notification to affected property owners, the need for fair case-by-case or site-specific merit-based assessment, concerns about retrospective application and loss of investment certainty, zoning inconsistencies and perceived bias in selection of exclusion areas, the rights of responsible law-abiding property owners. The discrepancy between the City's summary table and the more comprehensive concerns documented in the full schedule of submissions is notable. It is important that councillors are aware of the full range and nuance of community sentiment and not rely solely on internal summary tables which may inadvertently downplay legitimate concerns. I therefore respectfully request that Council recognise that a valid DA is currently under assessment for a West Busselton property in which I hold a legal interest, give appropriate weight to the financial investment made by my company and the procedural rights of those who have followed the correct planning channels, acknowledge that the general themes in the table of the agenda, pages 8 to 11, does not reflect all major concerns raised by the community, consider a more measured approach that allows for transitional provisions, exclusions or merit-based assessments for cases already in progress. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this written statement, and I acknowledge the complexities of this issue and the responsibility that rests with Council in weighing the diverse views of the community. I also appreciate the efforts of councillors and officers in reviewing these matters. I have included your officers in these correspondence and ensure the light can be brought to these issues, even in my absence. I have attached key community objection themes for you to review. Your faithfully, Jason Wickham, Co-Director of Maloney Wickham Pty Ltd.
Thank you.
Cool. How much time have I got left?
25 seconds.
25 seconds, okay. I've got all the other ones that it's already been emailed to the council to read, but in my 25 seconds, I just want to bring out the University of South Australia released a memo on the 11th of August 2025 that strict rules for short-term rentals and Airbnbs, so no solution to our housing crisis. So strict regulations of short-term rental accommodation may not help improve housing supply or affordability and can actually hurt tourism, according to new research by the University of South Australia. Short-term rentals such as those offered online, blah, blah, blah. We'll skip to the next bit. Our analysis shows that recent efforts to impose strict regulations or outright ban on short-term rentals include one of the world's most must-visit destinations, New York City, fail to have any meaningful impact on the housing market, says lead researcher Professor Peter O'Connor.
Thank
Done.
you. We did receive that information,
Cool.
so no,
All right.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. I now move on to deputations. And we have Dave Snyder from the town team talking on item 14.2 from the Building Busselton Parklet trial. And welcome, Dave. You've got 10 minutes. Thank you. Just sorting out sound. We can't hear you, sorry. Are you muted?
I don't think so.
There we are. That's fine.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep, please go ahead, Jude.
All right, I'll start over. My name is David Snyder. I'm from Town Team Movement. We're a social enterprise that supports town teams and local community groups to drive active citizenship. As part of my role, I also manage our Streets Alive grant funding program, which is facilitated in partnership with Main Roads WA and the West Australian Local Government Association, or WALGA, which is where kind of this project fits in. I'll try and keep this brief, but I want to give a quick overview of the Streets Alive program and then why I feel this project is important. So the Streets Alive program came about, Main Roads actually approached us and rightfully so presented kind of the issue of road safety across WA. I'm not sure how aware you are of kind of the challenge, but annually approximately 1,500 people are seriously injured through road safety. And last year that actually increased to 1,900 people. And the current business as usual approach isn't helping to reduce the number of people that are being killed and seriously injured. So as part of the Main Roads and state government strategy is to look at kind of new ideas and involving the community to be more involved in road safety and to have a better understanding of what the issues are in local places. So today, or in the past 12 months, we have delivered over 100 projects with community groups and local governments to address this challenge. Now, those include permanent installations, advocacy programs, or engagement projects that kind of raise awareness and support and help people to shift their attitudes and mindset towards road safety, and research projects in different areas. Now, so we have a few key objectives for the Streets Alive program. One, obviously, as I've mentioned, it is about road safety and creating slower streets and safer speeds. The second is about shifting attitudes and mindsets more broadly in the community towards road safety. Three, it's about transforming the street environment and creating more connective, vibrant, and inclusive spaces. And four, it's about trialing a collaborative approach. So it's communities working positively in and proactively with their local government to address road safety and create more connected environments. So this project, the Building Busselton Parklet, is actually one of the few projects that's been awarded kind of our higher level grant. So it's been awarded over $77,000 to deliver this parklet and the trial around the Busselton CBD. The parklet itself isn't a new idea. There are several parklets across WA. They have been proven to lower speeds and to create more supportive environments for businesses and public spaces for people to enjoy. So we thought, given the local context of Busselton, this felt like a great idea. So it was determined by the advisory panel, which includes representatives from Main Roads, from WALGA, from Department of Transport and Town Team Movement, that this would be awarded one of our highest grants. So we see this as a real opportunity for the City of Busselton to demonstrate how community-led action can create safer streets, can lower speed, and create more inclusive and connected environments. Finally, the last thing I just kind of want to close with is that this program is receiving a lot of support across the state and more broadly on a national scale. And we really want to celebrate the success of all of these projects. We have a lot of representatives from state government, ministers, and departments over East asking about how this program is going. And today it's been an overwhelming success. We can hand in heart claim that we are lowering speeds, we are shifting attitudes, and we are creating more connected environments. So this is an opportunity for the city, and I guess you've got a choice. You can either decide to support this project, support community change, support road safety and a more inclusive, connected environment. We do have a robust evaluation framework. So we will be putting together some data at the end of this project, which we would be willing to share with the City of Busselton. But we also want to share the success across the state and across the country. So that's the first option. I guess the other option is decide not to support this project. And unfortunately, we would also have to share kind of the results if this wasn't able to go ahead. And that's something we don't want to do. Kind of this is, Building Busselton has a lot of experience. They've been delivering large projects across the CBD for several years. And with our support, we can ensure this project is a great success. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much for your time. And I hope we can see this kind of project thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I've got a question from Councillor Ryan.
Two questions, if I may, Mayor. What is active citizenship?
Active citizenship is promoting community groups to have a voice and to enable change. So it's kind of active people in their community doing things to kind of support their place. Right.
And how will this initiative calm the traffic in the CBD?
So as I mentioned before, there's been a lot of research on parklets. And so the parklet itself sits next to, I guess, the pedestrian footpath. So it is kind of, it does go onto the road environment. So it forces more space for people. So this will have more people on the footpath, in the parklet, and it forces cars to slow down. In the same way that kind of seating environments do, kind of verge areas. Yeah.
Sorry, I still don't understand how it will slow traffic down in the CBD. If it's a, what's the speed limit in the CBD?
40.
50? So
got to ask the driving instructor.
How will putting a structure in a parking bay slow the traffic down?
Like I said before, it's been proven on many occasions that parklets do slow traffic. Look, it's not going to significantly reduce traffic speed from, say, 50 to 40 kilometers an hour, but it will have an impact. By putting it in a parking space, it's reclaiming that space for people. Cars are forced to be more aware in the environment that they're in, which makes them slow down. Yeah.
Cool.
In the same way that when you're narrowing streets, that vehicles have to slow down because they're more aware, the Parklet gets achieves a similar impact and effect.
Visualisation of people being close to roads then, I guess. So,
Yeah,
thank
but
you.
still in a safe environment.
Cheers. Thank you, Dave, for your presentation. Appreciate that.
All right, great.
Thanks
Thanks for your time.
Cheers. Moving on to item 8.1, that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 30th of July 2025 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Ryan, seconded Councillor Kennedy. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried 8-0. Item 8.2, that the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 30th of July 2025 be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Ryan.
With the amendment of the $1.2 million or whatever it is in there, and that be amended to, as Dr. Dickey said earlier, the 3.723 figure. It's question 2.
Well, yeah, but there was a correction made, so
This is the correction made in today's meeting. Yeah. So
the correction will be made in this week meeting.
so we need
In
to
our minutes,
Yeah.
if you go into that online for us, it's still the 1.2 million. So I'm just saying, as long as that correction is made, I'm happy to.
I think the issue there, though, is that, as Dr. Dickey pointed out in his question, that the answer
Correct
was...
minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't answered correctly. So if we changed it, that would then not be correct as to what was said on the day.
And there will be an apology in
So,
this next one.
in these minutes, then what has happened is that the correction of how I've responded to Dr. Dickey will show that that's corrected that. So then it'll be a true record of what occurred on the day.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a mover? Move Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Ryan. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried 8-0. Now, I have received an application for leave of absence from Councillor Gerard Kennedy for the meeting to be held on the 10th of September 2025. Do I have a mover for the motion that Councillor Gerard Kennedy will be granted a leave of absence for the ordinary council meeting to be held on the 10th of September 2025? Moved Councillor Cox, seconded Councillor Lee. Any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried 8-0. We now move on to items brought forward for the adoption by exception resolution, that the committee recommendations for item 11.1, 11.2 and 11.3 and the officer recommendations for items 14.1, 14.2, 15.2 and 15.3 be adopted en bloc. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Cagg, seconded Councillor Lee. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried 8-0. Items to be dealt on separate resolution. Items 12.1 is the scheme amendment number 61, short-term rental accommodation, and we have some disclosure of interest. I'll first ask Councillor McNeish.
I declare a financial interest in item 12.1 as I host a two-room in-home B&B that might experience an increase in patronage should the ability to secure an unhosted tourist accommodation approval be restricted. Given this interest, I will leave the meeting while this item is being considered.
Thank you, Councillor McNeish. Councillor Ryan.
I declare a financial interest in item 12.1 as I own a property in Vass, which is in the suggested exclusion zone. Given this interest, I will leave the meeting while the item is being considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. And Director Palmer.
I declare a financial interest in item 12.1 as my partner owns and operates a holiday home business and has signed the petition contained within this report. I also own an approved unhosted short-term stay accommodation. Given this interest, I will leave the meeting while this item is being considered.
Thank you, Director Palmer. Okay, therefore, I put the officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Cox. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion carried 6-0. Item... Yeah. If we could get the councillors and the director back. Now move on to item 11.4, the new council policy, disaster relief and appeals. The committee recommendation that the council adopts the disaster relief and appeals policy. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Craig. Is there any opposition? Being there opposition, Councillor Anne Ryan. Okay, so Councillor Kennedy, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. I support the motion as supported by the committee that's then recommended it to the council. The policy ensures that the appeals are all presented to council and we will get a report on those appeals if they ever come in. The policy also ensures that it's only paid to registered relief organisations, and also that it sets a cap on how much money that we're going to contribute. So rather than just leaving it open, it's currently limited to $5,000. I think the key benefits of this policy is that if our city was ever to face disaster, we could call on support from other local governments as an act of mutual goodwill. And it's about looking after one another and building resilience and all other host of good words. So I'd encourage you all to support the committee's recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Craig, do you wish to speak? Oh, sorry. I've written it down wrong. Was it? No, I thought it was. It was, sorry.
Yes, we debated this in the policy committee, and I am in agreement with the words that Councillor Kennedy used. We are supporting other councils as well as our own. In the case of a disaster, it does put a limitation on it. We set an amount. It was open at one stage. We set an amount, and I believe that it's good practice to follow this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against? Councillor Ryan.
I'm speaking against not because of the intent of such niceties. I think it's important. The policy was apparently a requirement of the internal auditor. It's not a necessary policy, and just because the City of Stirling and the City of Melbourne and Melville and Victoria Park have one, it's not a reason for us to have one. I support the intent behind helping communities in times of crisis, and I'm not suggesting there not be compassion on such occasions. I believe this policy introduces unnecessary rigidity into what should remain a flexible and responsive process. We already have mechanisms in place, such as notices of motion and staff reports. That allows the council to respond to disasters and appeals on a case-by-case basis and on a dollar-by-dollar basis. The tools give us the ability to assess each situation in its full context, consider community sentiment, and make decisions that reflect the urgency and uniqueness of each event. Noting the City of Stirling's amount is $10,000 per event. Once again, I'm not suggesting that any amount should be a pre-constraint. Adopting a formal policy may unintentionally constrain our ability to act swiftly or compassionately. It risks turning what should be a heartfelt response into a bureaucratic exercise, where decisions are filtered through predefined criteria that may not suit every circumstance. There's also a concern that this process could lead to inequities where some appeals may meet the policy criteria and others don't, despite being equally deserving of support. Now, I can't see into the future, so I don't know what the disaster may be that could be forthcoming. But in February 2009, there was an event called the Black Saturday Fires in Victoria. Our contribution then was via a notice of motion and a discussion with the councillors of how much we would put into it. And I don't recall how much that was then, but it was truly a heartfelt decision because of the circumstances. I believe our community expects us to lead with empathy and discretion, not just policy. Let's continue to use the tools we have already to respond to disasters and appeals in a way that is transparent and accountable, and above all, that is a human-based one, not one revolving around a policy. But also, on the back of a 6% rate increase just approved by the council, we need to be fiscally responsible with other people's money. I'm not suggesting, once again, that we don't need funds for disaster events. I'm just suggesting that there is no policy required. Hopefully, these events will be very few and far between, and I believe the council has the capacity to decide, not adopt a policy for the sake of having one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Speaker 4. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I support the formation of this new council policy. Councillor Ryan's reasons for voting against this policy are simply having a policy for the sake of having a policy is just red tape. This policy was recommended to be added by the internal auditor, so I will be following that advice. The benefits of having this policy, it ensures that all decisions regarding disaster relief are fair, transparent and consistent, provides guidance and assists officers to follow a standardised process, provides timely and practical assistance to residents affected by natural disasters, shows the local community that council is supportive and responsive during a crisis. A policy formally outlines the criteria, processes and limitations of disaster relief, increases transparency and accountability. It ensures fairness, clarity and efficiency. Councillor Ryan's other reasons: on the rare occasions that we might be requested to give money to a cause, the council should move a NOM or report to council. This policy clearly states that all appeals must be presented to council for consideration. Councillor Ryan goes on to state a policy such as this...
Sorry, Councillor
Sorry,
Cox.
in her reasons for...
In the reasons.
In the
okay,
reasons,
thank you,
sorry.
thank you.
Councillor
Cheers.
Ryan stated in her reasons for voting against this policy, a policy such as this may elicit more requests from dubious sources. This policy clearly states that all appeals must be initiated by a recognised relief organisation. Therefore, that's more than enough evidence for me to show that this policy is legitimate and will have many advantages for the council and the city. I would urge you to support this policy, councillors. Thank you.
Speaker against. Speaker for. Councillor Kennedy, your rebuttal.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to agree with Councillor Ryan in my rebuttal that it is true we don't need to adopt the policy just because it was recommended. However, I would encourage you all to adopt the policy. So let's support this policy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Therefore, I put the motion. All those in favour? That's Mayor Cronin, Councillor Lee, Councillor Kay, Councillor McNeish, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox, Councillor Kennedy. Those against? Councillor Ryan. Thank you. Move on to the next item. Item 11.5 is the new council policy sustainability and the committee recommendation that the council, I'll let you read that. Do I have a mover for the committee recommendations? Moved, Councillor Cox, seconded, Councillor Love. Is there opposition? There is opposition. Therefore, Councillor Cox, do you wish to speak to this motion?
I don't really have too much to say with regard to this policy. I believe that the staff explanation that stated that the sustainability and environment is an overarching policy, and underneath that there will be a comprehensive framework identifying a number of different areas that will come under that, rescinding a couple of policies and then amalgamating this into a more comprehensive policy. Therefore, we already have had quite a long discussion with regard to this policy in our Policy and Legislation Committee, and I think we ironed out any problems that I could foresee. Therefore, I will be supporting the formulation, rescinding a couple of policies and incorporating them into this overarching policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Love, do you wish to speak?
Just that I concur with Councillor Cox, plus alongside that I would like to add in that we are, point 5 is requesting the CEO to develop a sustainability and environment framework within the next 12 months, and in doing so in that process the council will be able to make adjustments as necessary if anything crops up that we're not comfortable with. But having read the council policy sustainability that's proposed, I'm quite comfortable with those recommendations, and I will urge all councillors to vote in favour of the committee's recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Love. Speaker against? Councillor McNeish.
Thank you, sir. I have foreshadowed, and it would be interesting, that'd be helpful, thank you very much, for that to be put on screen. I just wasn't clear. I think the policy's very worthwhile, sustainability policy, but it just wasn't clear when I read it. It was, if we use the expression, clumsy, and it needed to address certain definitions and just really explain why the prevalence of environment comes to be the overarching element of the 4 of sustainability, when the others, arguably, are equally as important, being governance, social and economic. So that wasn't clear to me, why the environment's coming through so strongly, and perhaps it's just because the work's already been done in that area. But there should be an explanation or some form of, a form, that's it. It's the form of the policy being segregated into the 4 areas. It just doesn't come across that way. So really, it's not clear to me why the environmental is the focus and the economy, in particular, is hardly mentioned. I'm always intrigued to see what is suggested as social sustainability. Now, that just doesn't come through to me at all. And as for the environmental side of things, I think it needs a little bit more detail on what that's going to entail. Admittedly, that the framework would come through, but the policy should lead to the framework and mention things like coastal erosion, rivers and waterways, vegetation, bushfire and greenhouse gas emissions, just as the kind of category that's going to be coming up.
Point of order.
Point of order?
Yeah.
Councillor McNeish, please take your seat.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just on the relevance, we're on 11.3.
11.5.
Are we? Oh, okay. Maybe I saw something odd before.
I'll take...
And it took you that long.
I'll rule against that one. Councillor McNeish, please continue.
Okay, 11.5, continuing. Yeah. I guess I'll sum up without labouring the point. Very, very worthwhile policy to have. Needs some more work. I've itemised some things to be addressed there in the least, and just I'd like to be made familiar early on in the policy that there are 4 elements of the quadruple bottom line that we talked about in the workshop that need to be addressed, will be addressed as far as they can be at the moment, and we can look forward to some form of policy content detail in what follows. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Manish. Do I speak for? Speaker against? Councillor Cox, you have the right to reply.
Mr Mayor, I don't really have a lot to say. Some of these points that Councillor McNish has put up as a proposed alternative, the purpose of the policy is to help guide, and the policy actually says the policy is to guide. Help guide means to me there's no confidence. Guiding, it is a guide. Policies are guiding documents. And I believe that this policy to me is quite, we had numerous council workshops to help formulate this policy, and I think that the staff came up with something that certainly I can understand. So I don't believe that the alternate recommendation put forward by Councillor McNish does anything to clarify it for me. I find it perfectly workable. So to that extent, I will still urge everyone to support the policy as written. Thank you.
Thank you. Therefore, I put the motion in front of you. All those in favour? That's Mayor Phil Cronin, Councillor Kay, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox and Councillor Kennedy. Those against? Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Lee and Councillor McNish. The motion is carried 5-3. Moving on to item 11.6. Councillor Kennedy. New council policy, election signage. The committee recommendation that the council adopts the new election signage policy with the following points being amended. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Kennedy. Seconded. Seconder, Councillor Cox. Is there opposition? There is opposition, therefore, Councillor Kennedy, would you like to speak to your motion?
Move as written.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cox, do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right at this time. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Opposition, Councillor McNish.
Thank you, sir. Again, if I could request that an alternative be put on the screen that I'd be foreshadowing. Taking the first couple of points that have come through from the staff, very good points. Clarifying the replacing of reserves with playing field, because a reserve is the road reserve, and that is a place where signs can go. The word equitable, I think that probably needs to be replaced with the words with a fair set of standards to be applied. We deal with words, we deal in a word of standards. And when...
Sorry, Councillor Manish, I will get you just to speak to the motion if you want to wield these into your debate, but this is what you're foreshadowing. So
the motion, thanks, sir. So the motion doesn't give clarity on the distance applied from what point to the sign, so that needs to be made clear to enforce it and to guide the people putting up these signs. So that's another point where I'm suggesting an alternative. And interestingly, if a sign goes in one day and then someone thinks, oh, that's not a bad spot, I'll come and stick a sign in front of that, and it's not touching, but it's just in view or compromising its readability in a 100-kilometre-an-hour speed zone, then I thought, well, that wouldn't be fair. So I added a bit about not having a sign placed within 10 metres of another
point of
sign.
clarification, you're not allowed signs in a 100 zone.
Wherever, 60. I wouldn't want people to be trying to read slogans and they're concealed behind other signs. So, yeah, I think that's probably a safety issue more than anything. Yeah, so some very simple alternatives, but again, worthwhile policy, just needs to be tightened up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Kennedy, your right of reply. Sorry, Councillor Cox, you reserved your right.
I'll still reserve my right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Kennedy, your right of reply.
No, I don't have much to say other than they're quite small changes and don't really change the intent of the policy. I wouldn't agree yet, and I think the description of placing signs is sufficient in the current policy. And
Thank you very much. Therefore, I put the motion in front of you. All those in favour? Councillor Mayor Cronin, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Cox and Councillor Love. Those against? Ooh. Councillor Anne Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Cagg and Councillor McNeish. Fortunately, I have the final say on this one, so I will use my vote to vote for it. So that's 5-4. Next, move on to item 11.7. New Council Policy, Freedom of Information. Do I have a mover for the item? I will ask again, is there a mover for the item in front of us? The committee recommendation with regards to the new council policy, freedom for information. If I have no mover, it will lapse. No mover? Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Kate Cox. Is there opposition? There is opposition. Councillor Kennedy, would you like to speak to the motion?
move as written, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cox.
I'll reserve my right, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Speaker against, Councillor McNeish.
Thank you, sir. Again, I could request the foreshadowed alternative. It's an important policy. It really is, actually. And I'm open to the staff's... I tried to align it to the Local Government Act word, but the staff have correctly commented about the word record. See down the officer comment, it's a good pickup, and happy to go with that and amend accordingly. I think advertising to the world that we will give information freely available, and where appropriate under legislation, that makes it clear, not just someone's interpretation at perhaps the front counter. And they're just pretty small amendments that just give it some clarity. But yeah, a very worthwhile policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McNeish. Is there a speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Cox, you reserved your right.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll continue to reserve my right.
Sure. Councillor Kennedy, your rebuttal.
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Therefore, I put the motion. Sorry, this is the alternate in front of us. If I can. I put the motion in front of you. All those in favour? Getting tested here. Councillor, so that's Mayor Phil Cronin, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Cox, Councillor Love. Those against? Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee, Councillor Cagg and Councillor McNeish. Yeah, look, I'm going to vote for it as well, sorry. 5-4, the motion is carried. Move on to item 15.1. This item's been pulled by Councillor Anne Ryan. Councillor Ryan, do you wish to put your motion, please?
The motion as put.
All right, thank you. Councillor McNeish has just left the room. Thank you very much, Councillor Ryan. Do you have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Lee. Is there opposition? There is opposition. Therefore, Councillor Ryan, would you wish to speak to your motion?
Sure. Just for the record, I note that my name is in the recommendation for myself to attend the AGM, which I knew nothing about until I read the agenda. So I was never...
Sorry, Councillor Ryan, I'm going to ask a point of clarification, if I may. Why was the deputy's name in that?
It's in accordance with the policy. So the policy it indicates that attendance would be by the mayor, the deputy mayor.
Okay, thank you. Jess.
And that's fine, but courtesy would have been that I, was on that list. But mindful again of the 6% rate increase, and yes, maybe there are no fees, but there's time and fuel involved, and time is money. And for the new CEO or the acting CEO, whoever he or she is, I just feel that they would have enough to do without trying to get up to speed with the motions that have been put up to the WALGA AGM. No motions have been submitted by this council, and it would be interesting to know what the cost-benefit analysis to the ratepayers are of attending such events. And I'm not sure that ratepayers know of how much we do pay to be a part of the WALGA Alliance. I'm mindful that some other councils need our support for the motions at these type of events. It was clear in the Canberra conference that there were lots of motions for lots of councils, but we're not a one-size-fits-all council. We're also not actively involved in WALGA. What are the motions? Has anybody had a read of the agenda? Does anybody know what's on the agenda and what's being debated? Well, I haven't. And I think if we take an active look at what's on the agenda for next year, then maybe this council can put up some motions to be debated at these events. It's also a good thing to bear in mind that we're actively involved in the Regional Capitals Alliance, RCAWA, which consists of 11 local governments, and the Southwest Zone, which consists of 12 councils. We also have standalone meeting with ministers, and we're not really eliciting much money from those. So all the warm and fuzzy things that it says to go to these conferences and AGMs, we're not really getting the benefit. So I'm not sure how much it costs. I think we put aside $15,000 to go to the WALGA conference in Canberra. How much will this cost if anybody wants to go to the local government week? And I'm not sure that we are getting value for money for our ratepayers. So, councillors, I urge you to let's give this one a miss and actively involve ourselves in the future with what's going on the agenda of Local Government Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor
Yes.
Lee.
Lee, yeah.
Sorry.
Still Lee, yeah. I'll reserve my right, thanks.
Thank you. Speaker against?
Yes,
we don't have to.
Well, I think it's important to. I'd like to address the cost-benefit analysis of attending WALGA, and I think it would be value for money if we are a member of WALGA to attend the meeting, and until then, we should be getting value for money. And I'm sure there's other value by attending the WALGA AGM. We can see what other local governments are doing. I haven't read the agenda, and perhaps if we read the agenda, we might find there's something.
The agenda's not out yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe there's some good stuff in there. We should keep our finger on the pulse. And Mr. Hunt, we could be hunting around for some very good stuff from other local governments that they've put forward to add value to our local government. So I'd encourage you all to not vote for this one, and let's look at the next one come through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy. Speaker 4?
Sir, I have a question.
Certainly.
Can I just ask a question? What is the total expected full cost of attendance? We're members, so we get some, but
Well, we haven't looked at accommodation. So accommodation, I don't know, 250, 300, is it?
Through the chair, estimates from recent stays would be $300-ish for accommodation for the night. The cost of the AGM itself, though, is zero. So as a member, you don't pay to register for the AGM. So it would just be accommodation for whoever attends and the travel.
My car does 6 litres to 100, so what's that, 250? So that's 12, 18, double it, 30 litres, so $60 less, $50 in fuel. Thank you. Speaker 4? Speaker against? Look, I'm just going to say a few things. I think it is worthwhile saying, and I'm going to keep it really brief. We are paid members, and as such, like a council, it's our role to vote. What if everyone didn't attend? Then it'd be like this council. If no one attended, nothing would ever happen. So it is good that we do that. We support others and they support us. I mean, even we just heard that chap today speaking about Streets Alive, and that's supported by WALGA. So they do a lot. WALGA also do the insurance that we do. They do save us quite a bit of money. We lobby. It's very good. So the 12 zones, we're also part of the Southwest WALGA group. So that means we've got the 12, I call them the zones, but the Southwest zones being all the cities and the shires down in the Southwest. And guess what they all did? All of them have backed us for the airport. So when I stood up in front of Roger Cook recently and said the whole of the WALGA Southwest had supported us, that gave us some great credibility. And also their shire president stood up and backed us as well. So there's a bit of, I guess it's almost a bit of like being in a union. As we heard earlier, there's 139 councils. I believe there's at least 130 that are members of WALGA. And again, numbers give us strength. Last year, a number of issues came up that we've put forward, and the one went through the Southwest Zone, which was the cat laws. So we had better control over the cats, and that was one of the ones that went up to the AGM. We also talked about land banking, because people were buying up land, knocking it down before they even built for a couple of years, which means there was a good house that someone could have been renting. So we do work together. WALGA works with us, and we work with them. I'll add that, and I'm just going to say, well, and further to Councillor Ryan's point, but I've already written it down, I will add it to my corporate calendar so that probably 2 months before this date, I will be asking the council for motions to take to WALGA, because it was a good pick up there. And look, they're a great advocacy, because when I do go, I meet with a lot of mayors, shire presidents, CEOs. I meet with politicians. I've sat down at tables and breakfasts with these politicians. So yeah, the $350, if I can get a few million for the airport or another project, then I think it is well worthwhile. So when we talk about value of money, I think it's there. One thing I would therefore like to put forward an amendment to, if this does not go through, I will be making an amendment to the officer's recommendation that we remove Councillor Anne Ryan's name from that, and I would request to replace it with Councillor Love, who is the deputy for the Southwest Zone and has attended a number of meetings when I have not been present. I do appreciate if the gallery could keep their comments to themselves. So therefore, I would urge councillors not to go for this motion and to look at the officer's recommendation of my amendment. Thank you. Speaker 4. Okay, Councillor Lee, you held your...
Yeah, just a few points. Cost isn't just about money, it's time. And while you are attending one place, you can't be attending another place. Mayor Cronin stated, what if no one attended? Well, if no one attended, WALGA might change their format.
This isn't a rebuttal, by the way.
No, just acknowledging it. It just might make it more appealing for people to actually attend. I get the importance of being a part of these associations. Having been to an AGM, though, I found very little benefit. The conference was great, the AGM, not so much. So I think it's a long bow to draw when we talk about meeting with other delegates and other people that are there, particularly for the purpose of campaigning for money for the airport, because the state government has very clearly stated there is none. So while meeting with people and touching base with all people in local government is important, I don't believe it's part of the AGM that's going to make that happen.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan, your right to reply.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I spoke to Minister Dawson recently at the Cabin Fever event, and I said, Minister, can we talk about money? And he said, Anne, please do not talk to me about the airport. You're not going to get any money. So I'm not sure that anybody attending and speaking to any other minister, when I know Minister Punch has been down here as well and said similar things. So I just don't believe that we'll be eliciting any money by attending this event. I did raise the issue of the Southwest Zone and all the good work we do with all these local government councils. So that's not to negate from what is being done and the discussions that we're having with the Southwest Zone and RCA and Regional Capitals Alliance. Yeah, it's good to have. It's good to have buddies. But honestly, tell me what we are going to gain from going up there and supporting the other councils when we don't know what's on the agenda. And what if it's something that benefits them and it doesn't benefit us? I would actually like to see an active, progressive forward movement on WALGA motions, and that we can put up motions like my suggested one recently of the government not supporting the...
Please stick to the rebuttal.
Well, we need to be working on motions so that we can take them and be learning and also debating those motions to other councils on stage. Thank you.
Therefore, I put the motion in front of us. All those in favour? Councillor Ryan. Those against? Sorry. All those against? Start again. Yes, the foreshadowed motion. Those for this motion. Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee. Those against? Mayor Cronin, Councillor Craig, Councillor McNeish, Love, Cox and Kennedy. Thank you. Right, so now we move to the officer's recommendation. The alternate. Sorry. Yeah, so the recommendation in front of you. I'll be moving that amendment. So if you wish, I should move this then, shouldn't I? Yeah. So I will move the motion. Is there a seconder? There is a seconder. Sorry, let me get my paperwork out here. Councillor McNeish, is there any opposition? There is opposition. The only thing I'll stand is what I've just said, but I just want to make an amendment to remove "and Deputy Anne Ryan" and replace that with I think you know what I'm going to replace it with. So.
Got a question then?
You may ask a question.
Thank you. Will this be an alteration?
It's substituting a name. So it will be an amendment, yes. I'll need the...
Sorry, can I just ask a question as well? Did you ask Councillor Love if she wanted to go?
Well, yes, I've mentioned it to her.
Just wondering.
I will have to sort out childcare arrangements, but I am happy to go up there as a delegate with the Mayor, especially given that I do sit on the Southwest Country Zone at times.
Would you rather I changed it to another delegate?
I've got no problems as some other councillors do want to attend though, because I do see the benefit in the social networking side as well. So if other councillors are wanting to attend, by all means, I'm more than happy to stand aside for it.
Sorry? Change it to an elected member? Oh, we do have to nominate, sorry.
I didn't have an issue with Councillor Love going. I just wondered if you'd asked her.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll put you down. If you're unable to make it, then we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to write it that way, or do you want to just actually write the amendment out? Or okay, so the amended motion is that the council amend the motion to replace Deputy Anne Ryan with Councillor Michaela Love. Do I have to, sorry, am I seeking approval from? No, so do I have a seconder? I have a seconder. Is there any opposition? There is opposition. Therefore, I will, I'll raise to say that's what I'd like. So that's all. Thank you. The seconder was Councillor Love.
I will reserve my right of reply. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor McNeish, you wish to speak against?
I speak against because I'm swayed big time by Councillor Ryan's passion to put this right, to get active, to be vocal, to ensure that when you do go up there, you have material. It's been backed by the council, it's been discussed, and with you assuring this council and this district of all that effort that you seem very keen and motivated to put in, I would think you'd be a very, very good person and the appropriate person to go up and attend that conference. So I would not like to see your name removed. Thank you.
Okay. Speaker for this amendment? Speaker against?
And I absolutely agree with Councillor McNish's sentiment. This is not about who's going to replace me or whatever. It is about what's on that agenda, what are we fighting for, how does anybody know what the position of the council is when they get up and vote. I certainly did it in Canberra. Because I was pretty sure of the intent of the motions and how I felt as a whole that we would want a delegate to act, although I couldn't vote, the Mayor had the machine. So I believe that we should be taking an active role. Yes, Mr Mayor, if it's incumbent on you to be placing something on your calendar so that we can talk about motions, but I also think that we need to be actively promoting motions to go to these events. And yeah, so I'll say no more.
Thank you. Speaker for? Speaker against? Therefore, I put the motion, the amendment that is in front of you, that the council replaces Deputy Amber Ryan with Councillor Love. All those in favour? Councillor Kay, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox, Councillor Kennedy and Mayor Phil Cronin. Those against? Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee and Councillor McNeish. The amendment is carried. Back to the substantive. If we can just make the changes.
May I ask a question, please?
You may.
So the suggestion that the Chief Executive Officer as proxy attend, does he have to? Or is that another thing that he or she may want to weigh up at the time?
Through the chair, how the proxy works is if one of you is not able to attend, they can stand in. Usually it's holding the voting button. Being Chief Executive Officer, I'm not sure if your question was around whether by then you'll probably have an acting CEO. The acting CEO takes the place of CEO.
But what if he doesn't want to go?
Then we would have to inform WALGA of whether there would be another proxy or whether we're not able to vote.
We can't see the future.
No, we can't. Absolutely we can't. So if he is attending as a proxy, then, and if there's 2 councillors or elected members going, why do you need a proxy?
But then you wouldn't. It would be
That's
if he's
right.
a proxy.
Just in case.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, do I have a speaker against the substantive motion? The seconder was Councillor Love. With the amendment, yes. Okay. Councillor McNeish, you've not spoken? Sorry, it's been a long night. You just spoke to the amendment, did you?
Yes, and that expresses my sentiment, and it still is. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Love, you have the right to reply. Sorry, you've reserved your right. Sorry.
McNeish was the second. We're back to the recommendation with the amendment. McNeish was the seconder of the original motion.
No. It was?
So if there's no speakers for or against.
Okay. That's it. I'm sorry, I've actually written down too much here and I've got confused when I started working on the amendment, so apologies. So the seconder is not speaking?
The seconder is not spoken,
so the seconder can speak?
I think we're in the closing debate. You're right.
Oh, it's my right to reply. I've got nothing further to say. Thank you. Can I see the actual motion now?
That is it.
That is the motion. Thank you. So all those in favour of the motion that is in front of you? Mayor Cronin, Councillor Kay, Councillor Love, Councillor Cox, Councillor Kennedy. Those against, Councillor Ryan, Councillor Lee and Councillor McNeish. Therefore, the motion is carried 5-3. Thank you, councillors, and I apologise for my lapse in concentration. So we now move on to item 18, which is urgent business. And I'll be asking to close, as this is confidential. Sorry, no. Sorry. Firstly, I need to, motion to accept the item as a matter of urgent business. Do I have a mover? Sorry, okay, my apologies. Prior to the meeting, a confidential item titled Appointment of Acting Chief Executive Officer was distributed to the Council as presiding member, and in regard to clause 5.9 of the standing orders, I have consented to the consideration of this item as an item of urgent business. Should Council resolve to consider this as an item of urgent business, it will then be considered as a confidential item in accordance with section 5.232C. Do I have a mover to consider this item as urgent business titled CEO Resignation? All right. I do apologise, my notes are all over the place. Appointment of Acting Chief Executive Officer. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Lee. Seconded, Councillor McNeish. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour. The motion is carried 8-0. So this will be moved into confidential items, as I just explained. So we have two reports of a confidential nature in accordance with section 5.232A and 5.23B of the Local Government Act 95. In order to maintain the confidentiality of these items, I will seek a decision to close the meeting to the members of the public. Do I have a mover to close the meeting to the public? Moved, Councillor Lee. Seconded, Councillor Cagg. Is there any opposition? Being no opposition, I put the motion. All those in favour. The motion is carried 8-0. Now I'll just allow time for the microphones to go down. So I'll just say, read the item number and full description. No. Yeah. Just a second, no, the meeting's not closed. Are we now open to recording? Okay, so just for the public, we had 3 confidential items. 19.1, the proposal for the hotel site 1 development, that was passed 8-0. The 19.2 was the behavioural complaint 07-2025, that was passed 6-2. And on 19.3, the appointment of the acting chief executive officer was passed at 8-0. Therefore, the next ordinary council meeting is going to be Wednesday, the 27th of August, 2025, and now declare the meeting closed at 20:12 p.m. Thank you.